Warner takes.
ArizonaSports.com presents Kurt, a retrospective video series.
What a throw by Warner.
Organizational impact.
You know, I think of the impact of Kurt Warner. It's not what he said, it's what he did, or maybe what he didn't say. I'll give you an example. Week 3, 2006, the Cardinals lose a brutal game at the very end. Kurt Warner fumbles, or at least that's what we thought. He went to the podium and took full blame. We went back and looked at the film, and the guard had knocked the ball out of Kurt's hands. But he took blame in the media. No one ever knew otherwise. And it was that sort of accountability that rubbed off on the rest of the locker room. I'll give you another example. Super Bowl 43, we're on the team bus. From the team hotel to the stadium in Tampa, I'm sitting on the bus, and sitting down right next to me is Kurt Warner. And all eyes are on Kurt. He's the one Cardinal who had been there and done that. This was the Super Bowl. It was a few hours away. I mean, the tension was palpable in that bus. Everyone was nervous. I was doing the pregame radio show, and I was beyond nervous. And there was Kurt Warner, cool as a cucumber, that whole ride over. All eyes were on Kurt. In fact, all eyes were on Kurt that game. And I think there was one reason the Cardinals were able to compete with such an experienced Steelers team, is that because Kurt Warner led them and let everyone know, you know what, it's just another game. There's no need to be that nervous. Just go out and play. And that's what the Cardinals did. And to me, I attribute so much of that to Kurt Warner and him leading by example.
I think when it comes to Kurt Warner, one thing people will always remember is that he taught the Cardinals that they could win in Arizona. You remember where he got into the playoffs in 2008 after winning the NFC West, and that was their first playoff appearance since 1998, the second time they'd been in the playoffs in their entire time in Arizona. So when Kurt Warner got here, you didn't think the Cardinals could win, but you thought, fine, it's Kurt Warner. But then he took them to the playoffs, took them to the Super Bowl, and you started to realize that, hey, maybe the Cardinals franchise can have success. Maybe the Cardinals can make it to the Super Bowl. And because of that, I think you're seeing what the Cardinals are right now as an organization that believes it can win, it knows it can win, because when Kurt Warner was here, they did win.
Every time you see Kurt Warner on the NFL Network, or every time you hear him on Arizona Sports 98.7 FM, you look at him and think, there's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. There's one of the best stories of all time. And he belongs to us. He lives here, and he belongs to us. When I think about his legacy with the Cardinals, obviously I think about what he did to transition the Cardinals from what they were to what they are. But I also think about how his time with the Cardinals impacted his legacy. How he had this giant empty space in the middle of his career, and what he was able to do to the Cardinals and with the Cardinals allowed him to sort of complete his journey. He did it once with one of the worst franchises in the NFL in the Rams, and the fact that he got to do it again with the Cardinals cemented the Cardinals' legacy, but I think it also cemented his, and I like that it had kind of that dual approach to him and them.
Kurt Warner's impact is simple. Before Kurt Warner, losing organization that had no hope. After Kurt Warner, an expectation is there from all of us for the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, look about how devastated all of us are from how bad the 2016 season went. Kurt Warner doesn't have anything to do with that, but he has everything to do with our heightened expectations. He has everything to do with why we view the Cardinals differently and more different than we ever have before. There's other reasons. The stadium is huge. The switch to Michael Bidwell being in charge. There's a lot of things that have changed with the Cardinals. But to me, the change started with Kurt Warner raising this franchise to a place none of us ever thought was possible.
Well, Kurt Warner's impact, obviously, on the Cardinals organization has been very tangible. I think he was very much responsible, with a couple of other people, Larry Fitzgerald, Michael Bidwell, in transforming the Cardinals from a traditional losing franchise to a respected franchise that competes for championships. But off the football field, what Kurt Warner's done in the community over the years, still lives here, coaches high school football, very involved in philanthropy and charity. It sounds corny to say, but Kurt Warner has made Phoenix and the Valley of the Sun a better place just by his presence and his family's presence.
The impact on the Cardinals organization and the Valley, you look at what he did with the Cardinals, that speaks for itself. The fact that we had back-to-back division titles, a Super Bowl appearance as well to go along with it, and then you think of all the things that he does off the field where he has his First Thing First organization and his nonprofit, and he does so much in the community relating to everybody, not just professional athletes, and all of the things that he does with his time and just so giving an individual. He is so beloved here. I don't think anybody has a negative thing to say about Kurt Warner here in the Valley.
You know, so many players made an impact for the Cardinals, and I think the guys that get the most credit are guys like Anquan Boldin, Larry Fitzgerald, Antro Roll, Carlos Dansby, Darnell Dockett, Adrian Wilson, and all of those players were drafted by the Cardinals. The one player who gets credit for turning the Cardinals around that wasn't drafted is Kurt Warner. He was the one free agent guy that came in and gets a lot of credit for the Cardinals becoming a good franchise.